Thanks ahead of time for watching today's video. Please let us know which card you think is the most underplayed. We will be doing a giveaway for a couple of the cards that are in the video today. Please leave a comment and a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. It really does help us in the algorithm. Welcome to Collectors of the Coast. I am Cash. Today is actually our first in a series of EDH building videos. We are doing 10 cards that I think should see some more play in EDH. Yeah, I have kind of various cards that I've been looking at for a while. She was going through some cards, a few cards for sale, came across, had a few cards in my thing. Some that I've been holding on to for a little while, some that I hadn't, and some that are just kind of part of the collection. And came across some cards, and I thought, geez, why am I not playing these in more decks? A couple of them I do play kind of regularly, and a couple not. So I thought I'd share that with you guys, especially with a couple of the decks that are coming out, some of the Commander decks, the Warhammer, which we actually got today, and we started playing. We played the Greyfax one versus the Abaddon, I think it is, one. Both really good, so we've been enjoying it. But anyways, so without too much preamble, let's get into it. So number 10, these aren't ordered super great, but number 10 on my list was a card called Sacrifice. So Sacrifice is in on EDH Rec, 5,000 decks, roughly 1% of the decks that could use it. It's a great mana ramp. So you pay 1, you get instant speed, you can ramp up, sacrifice your creature, and it works so well with those like death triggers. Anything where you death trigger, it leaves the battlefield, your opponents lose life, and you can play something else and replace itself. Card itself is like $2. It's an old card, thought, geez, this should be played more. There's just so many decks, Blood Artist in particular, that could use it. Any of those zombies that sacrifice and they don't. They're going to sacrifice themselves anyways. You can keep recurring them. Those kind of decks. Anything recursion. I know there's the green. What's it called again? It's a green black, 1 green, 1 black, and you sacrifice a permanent. No, it won't work with that. Sorry. Anyways, there's a number of cards that it would work well with. A couple of decks that I thought is going to work really well with now. Magar just came out in the Infinity set, and I think it works really well with that deck. Mayhem Devil, always any deck that's working on that sacrifice theme, really good. Kakusho is actually a good in that deck as well. So just thought, for $2, this card should be seeing more play. It's just not. It's only in like 5,000 decks of there's like 800,000 decks or something like that on the site. So the next one that I had was a card called Crumble. So Crumble costs 1 green. It is about $2.50, so it's a little bit pricey for what it was back at the time. But 1 green, you get to destroy an artifact. So 1 green taking out your opponent's soul ring, and they get life equal to its casting cost. So it's like this card doesn't get played at all. It is it's 20. Did I say 25 cents? It's like a quarter to buy, and it's like 1 green, instant speed, pretty good artifact removal. And I'm just amazed it's not played more. It's basically Sword of Plowshares in green that takes out artifacts. So really good in a Commander game. Could be big, especially early in the game. I'm surprised it doesn't see CEDH. 1 mana cost, and it's knocking stuff out. Really surprised this card isn't seeing more play. Like literally 336 decks. I just can't believe it's not being played more. So I have a couple of them. I'm certainly going to be putting them more in my decks. Kind of sat in my binder. I actually don't have them in one of my decks. So, I overlooked the card as well. Yeah, I'm going to start putting it in my decks. Honestly, if you have green, whether it's CDH, it's really good in Storm decks. There's a lot of cards that it'll just work really well in. So, as long as you don't care about your opponent getting maybe a life or 2, or sometimes it'll be more, but a life or 2, then really good card. So I had to point that one out. A card I really noticed a little while ago when the set came out is Min, Wily, and Illusionist, and I'm amazed this commander's not played more. I think it's a really good commander, like super fun. I haven't crafted it, but I have a couple set aside. It's on my short list of ones to craft. And this is there's like 2,500 decks where this is a commander. And it's like 0.1% of all the decks that could be in there. And I think this is good in the 99 of a lot of decks too. So many blue decks want to draw cards. They want to draw all kinds of cards, and every time you draw your second card, you get an illusion token. There's not that, in fairness to players, illusion is not a type that has necessarily a ton of amazing cards, but there's so many ways to put illusions in play now. You can do, Maskwick Nexus makes everything an illusion. Whatever you play in your deck or whatever, everywhere is an illusion. So it really buffs up your illusions. Also, if you play, Unnatural Selection, you can turn everything on the board into illusions. Really good as well. So many shenanigans to do this. Actually works really well with a new card that recently came out, Defiler of Dreams from Dominaria United. Really good card in that deck. Just so many good cards that work with it. A couple of the better illusions out there. Fleeting Image was a good one. Imaginary Pets, it's just a super fun card to play. Just surprised more people aren't, especially in more casual formats. I don't necessarily know this is the cream of the crop competitive Commander, but it's certainly lots of fun. And it does a lot for it. 30 cents to buy this card right now. I think the alt art might be $1 or something. But yeah, 30 cents. So, okay. So the next card, I'm going to go through, there's, kind of different tiers to this stuff. Next card is getting quite a bit of play. So, admitted that. And it is Midnight Clock from Throne of Eldraine. It was reprinted at one point in, I think it was reprinted in one of the, I don't know if it's been in Commander deck. It's been reprinted anyways in one of the Commander decks or one of the Pioneer decks or something like that. So the price itself is 30 cents for this card, and it is absolutely a beast of a card. Anytime you just have a splash of blue in your deck, it is worth putting it. It is a mana rock, so you're getting mana, potentially drawing 7 cards at a point in the game where you've made it through your hand. You're probably 6-7 turns into the game, and you're able to draw 7 cards. It's unbelievable. Absolute value. Your opponents are going to try to knock it off. You can pump it up to go earlier if you have extra mana around. It is in 34,000 decks, so it's in quite a few decks. But that's only 4% of the decks it could be in, or of EDH decks. And so many decks, such a high percentage have blue in it. So in them. So really, really good. I think I have an alt art one around, and it's beautiful. I'm thinking about kind of getting a few more of them. I feel like this is a card that if it's not reprinted over time is got to go up. It's too cheap. So if there's blue in your deck, it should be in there. There's almost no blue deck that would not want this card. So as long as there's blue in it, it could be multicolors, whatever. You just splash some blue in for some of the card draw. This is a good mana rock. It is a good draw card. There's just really no downside to having this card in your deck. So highly recommend. Like I said, super cheap right now. It's 30, I don't know, it said 30 cents on the one list I looked at. I think it might be 50 cents to $1. But I mean, honestly, in a card for $1, it's just a no-brainer to put in your deck. So, next one I have was Tesla Karlov. So this card is barely getting played right now, literally barely getting played. It's in less than 6,000 decks, 0.33%. Okay, and it is a great card. It's multiple triggers on stuff, so works really well with Sad Robot. Works really well with cards like that. Works really well with another card. Well, another card I'm going to bring up later, but probably doesn't work in the color of the deck. But anything like Blood Artist works really well with those triggers, double triggers. Anyway, so many different things that trigger. Any deck that has tokens, so your vampires, your soldiers, your humans, any of those decks that are in those colors that have tokens, it works really well with. Honestly, it's a really good card. Because of the possible life drain ability in it, you can also, new card that came out, Ellison Ilcor, I think it is. I'm trying to say it. But one of the newer cards, really good. People are losing life out when things die, and you're getting double triggers, and people are losing life over there, and a little bit there, a little bit there, and next thing you know, they're dead. So, anyways, I just can't believe it's not in more decks. It was a pretty popular card when it first came out, and it's kind of just, I feel like people have been on other things, and they kind of forgot about it. And this is one of those that, honestly, with the amount it is, it's about $4 on the market, $3-4, and well worth it in any deck. It's white, black, tons of decks right now working in that. And I just can't believe with all the decks that are working in those colors, that are doing kind of those kind of steal and life and stuff, that this thing with the double triggers and all that isn't getting more love. So really good card. I really recommend. So next one that I thought was actually really interesting, and this is a card I actually haven't used, and I was going through and I'm like crap, haven't I thought about this before? So the next card, number 5 on my list, is Rampage of the Clans. So this is a green card. This is basically gets rid of artifacts and enchantments. And with how many treasure tokens and ways to get food tokens and clue tokens, and so many cheap artifacts, like 0 casting cost artifacts, and those are going to be super popular for the next little while. You know there's going to be a couple maybe 0 casting cost or 1 casting cost artifacts you can get and play cheap and recur them, and not to be unexpected that you'd be able to get 15, 20 artifacts on the board. And this card's crazy. So whether you're using it to get rid of your opponent's creatures, but more importantly, using this card as a win con, right? You throw this card out, it's cheap, knocks out 15 of your own guys, and you throw one of the like coat of arms on the board or something after it a little bit late game, and as your win condition, absolute nuts. You're hitting them for, I don't know, 700 damage or something like that off of it. So I just thought really cool. I works with Essex Fractal Bloom. I thought would be a really good commander to work with. Old Gnawbone works red-green strategies with the Goldspan, all the dragons that make things, and you do the tokens and the lots of stuff. So with the red dragon from when did it come in? Oh my goodness. The red dragon. From Baldur's Gate. That guy. So him as well. So just there's so many shenanigans you can do with it. Okay. Next one, people might argue with me a little bit on, but I just don't think it's actually played as much as it could be. So the next card is Serra's Sanctum. So many good enchantments now. So many enchantment strategies. This thing is in 2% of decks. Okay. And only so many decks really care about having a lot of enchantments. Fair enough. But everyone, if you got 2 enchantments in your deck, 2 enchantments that you're likely to have on the board, Serra's Sanctum is like 2 mana. You're just doubling your mana. Now, I get it. It's an expensive card. It is a $300 card, so it's expensive. But a lot of playgroups now are proxying, and they're allowing it. I mean, Wizards basically just gave everyone the okay to proxy their whole damn deck because they brought out this new set that's like, hey, we're going to put proxies, and I guess everyone's going to play them on their commander deck, and you should pay $1,000 for a proxy. So I just thought, given that especially, I thought, like crap, like this card should be played more. I don't know what percentage of decks it should be in. I know, like for me, I definitely, when I do an enchantment deck, I got a couple of them. I have a Serra Sanctum in the deck. I have a couple copies. I play in I think I have like a proxy of one. I have a real one in a deck. But honestly, I could have it in more decks, because even if you're just playing like the big ones, you're getting the big enchantments that everyone plays. Even if you're just breaking even on it, it's still like a white mana for that. You're playing the big popular enchantments that are just taxing your opponent, right? Your land taxes and stuff like that. So thought it's just amazed actually that it's not in more decks. Now, limited supply, so I understand. So maybe there's some truth to that, but proxy it. See what people say. All right. So next 3 I think are all really, really good cards, and really I think are just underplayed. So number 3 on my list was Paradise Mantle. So Paradise Mantle, 0 casting cost equipment. Costs 1 to equip. Throw it on a creature, you have mana fixed. You got mana of any color out from that creature. So it costs 1 to equip, but it's there for the whole game. You throw it on any creature. I know so many times when my mana screwed. Just actually playing today with the Warhammer decks. We played 2 games, and one of the games I was mana screwed, and the other game Dash was mana screwed. We just couldn't get our 3rd color, and so you spend 5-6 turns trying to get the color. You finally get the color, and you're almost dead. So really good. Just pops on a creature. You pop it on even just like a crappy token. That token now is your color. So good in any 1 color, 2 color, 3 color, 4 color, 5 color. You just need 2 colors in your deck, and it's a good card. Certainly in those multicolor decks. I know Joda right now is absolutely huge, and I would imagine this card is just a no-brainer in almost every Joda build. Good in partner commander decks where you need multiple colors. Any kind of equipment deck that, again, more than just like the standard white, like even a Boros equipment deck, pretty good. So anything, a SRAM, really good. You're drawing card just when you play it, so it just replaces itself, so now you have something that bombs through. So okay, 2 left, and these are my 2, I think, big ones that are underplayed. So number 2 is Witch's Clinic. So Witch's Clinic came out, I'm trying to remember which commander. It came out over the last couple of years, and it was in one of the commander sets. And I saw this card right away, and I got, like, this goes in, like, every deck. This is a land that should just be standard in every deck. There's pretty much no downside to it, and there's only upside. And this land gives all your commanders, gives them lifelink. So how many times are you about to die and you got, like, no way to gain life? This now is an option to give you lifelink. So anyway, lifelink decks, absolutely huge. So that's big. So it can go on any commander that doesn't have lifelink, but maybe is like a good life commander. Any of those decks. Just tons and tons of decks. I see no downside to the card. Unless your commanders, there are some commanders where you're not really doing a lot of combat damage and stuff, so the lifelink maybe not going to matter a lot. But I mean, how many of those? Like, is that like less than 5% of commanders? This is in around 19,000 decks. So that's a good amount, but that's 1% of decks. 1%. Like, it could be in pretty much, it should, like 99% of decks. I think it should be 95 anyway. $4 card right now. So, you know, some people caught on because it was around $2.50, I think, when I bought my couple, when the set came out. But still, I don't know. See, to me, this should be a $10 card. I don't think it should be a $20, $30 card, but probably a $10 card until they reprint it again, which I'm sure they will in one of the new Commander sets coming up soon. Yeah, it just goes in everything. So highly recommend this card. It's been good for me when I've played it. Not that many times have I used it, but it's just, there's just not a downside really to having it. So highly recommend the card. Honestly, pick them up for less than $5, then I think you're doing well. Okay. Last card, and this card is like criminally underplayed. One of my favorite cards that I used to play all the time, and I used to see when it was in standard. And it's just, I guess, just over time, maybe it's just kind of people not noticing the card or whatnot. So the last card, number 1 on my list, is EXT Oracle. So EXT Oracle, absolutely crazy. Costs 4 to play. Got to use a mana of 4 colors, but it comes in with 4 counters on it. You remove 4 counters, you can sack it, you draw 3 cards. So it's going to cost you 5 to draw 3 cards. But you also get a 4/4 body. Now, it is criminal. It's in 1,400 decks. Okay? That's like, I don't know, less than 1%, like a 1/4% of decks. Okay? Joda the Unifier, this is like an auto-include. Like, I don't understand how this is not in every single 5-color deck. Some of the hottest commanders right now is Sika, Joda, what are the other ones? There's a few of them right now that are super hot that people like. Kenrith, right? This card is just such a no-brainer in it. You know, you just need to. Not to mention, if you have a deck, okay, even if it's a 3-color deck, for goodness sake, but if you have Vorinclex in your deck, comes in with double counters, you can draw 8 cards off this sucker, okay? Corpsac Menace, double counters, anything with double counters. You now have a whole bunch of counters. You can draw 6, 10, whatever, how many cards off of this, however many counters you get on it. You got Helion on there, you throw a few counters on it. Willow Dusk gives it tons of counters, and you can draw like crazy. Say some of these 2 colors, so a little hard, but I mean, Willow Dusk, you can throw the counters on it the other way. Atraxa, absolutely crazy with the counters for it, and 4 colors, so already you got the color mana for it. So yeah, I don't understand why this card's not in more decks. Maybe someone can explain it to me in the comments. Maybe I'm missing something, but for me, every single time I've played this card in a deck, it's been really good, and I don't understand why this isn't getting played more. So is this a card just people have forgotten about? Let me know in the comments. Maybe there's something going on. I can see maybe EDH, maybe it's a little too slow. But in basically any casual format, I understand how drawing 3 cards and getting a 4/4 isn't a good thing. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Maybe there's some cards you think are really hot that are underplayed. Leave your comments. Leave some comments in the comments below. I'm going to be doing a few of these videos in the future. I have some other cards that I think are underplayed as well. I'm not going to do these too often, but every once in a while I'd like to throw one of these videos. Let me know what you think. All right. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and have a magical day.